Welcome to Jelly Trumpet!
Welcome to Jelly Trumpet, making you more creative. Tips, tricks and ideas for expanding your imagination.
Just a moment.
What is it, Mr. B?
I need to close the window.
Oh, because of the possible noise?
No, we've had a problem with squirrels.
Pesky little things, aren't they?
Yeah, they've taken to being very judgmental about the music on the show.
How so?
We better start again, Jim.
Welcome to Jelly Trumpet. Making you more creative. Tips, tricks and ideas for expanding your imagination. What was that?
Oh, the squirrels like the drum kit.
Can you get them out?
Well, usually I let them have their solo.
Mr. B? Mr. B? Mr. B?
Yes, Jim?
No more squirrel drum solos.
OK, I'll get the cat.
Thank you, Mr. B. Today we're in St Albans, Hertfordshire. If you know St Albans, we're in the Roman theatre of Verulamium. The place is packed with sunbathers.
What
is it, Mr. B?
There aren't sunbathers.
Oh, I see. Just another day in St Albans. Mr. B, the button.
Coming up on Jelly Trumpet!
You are your own medicine. An exercise to try at home. Challenge Jim. Silly, silly, silly things. And our guest spot featuring Adam Hunt. Sponsored by Conversion Detectives, the really creative digital marketing agency. Search Conversion Detectives. You are your own medicine.
So, we talked about this in the last episode. You are your own medicine. It's about keeping a journal, keeping a record of your creative projects so you learn how you work and accelerate your creativity. Write up each creative session you have on a device or in a book. And we're going to keep coming back to it. As I say, this is the single most powerful action you can take to expanding your creative being. So this is about finding your own way of working. I started using this idea years ago for writing scripts for TV competitions and plays. And that idea is the humble index card. So I use one index card per scene for a TV script or a play. And this is for mapping. This is after collecting some ideas, some of the story, perhaps the endings, some character notes and more. So on one side of that card, I write what happens only, just the bare facts. Character goes into the lounge, he meets a friend, they have a cup of coffee. I might give the scene a name at that stage, but I'll put it in pencil because I could change it. So as I work on the script, I'll write ideas on the other side, just a collection point really. Because when you map out a creative project like this, you can be ruthless. What happens if I take this scene index card away? Does the plot still make sense? Going back to You Are Your Own Medicine, your creativity journal, I give each entry in my medicine diary a mark from 1 to 5, and how successful each is in terms of helping me write, so I can quickly look for the best things to try. Some tips or tools or notes will get repeated, some not used for years, and some others never again, because I've learnt something. Here's an entry I made while writing this trilogy of plays based on movie genres. One thing I found important is to let the first thought come, but not be attached to it. Think beyond the first thought. Now as I write, I relax, and more possibilities come to me. Simple, eh? Now, this was a while ago, but I can go back to entries like this that helped me create. It's also very important when you get stuck. You have a way of getting unstuck. Not long ago, I finished the third play in this trilogy, based on the movie genres, and the third play had a disaster movie vibe. It was set on an upturned cruise liner during a zombie apocalypse in the Caribbean, and it features two groups who are smuggling gold bullion, plus other things like chimps that are trained as assassins by the FBI. Anyway, I got to a point where the different groups had to escape over this yawning chasm, and I wanted to use something simple to make the scene funny, and so I decided on a simple wood plank. But the performers in this play all played a variety of other different characters, so I kept trying to work out which characters could meet which other characters. I spent many Saturdays, my writing day, trying to find that out. Then I realised from looking at my medicine I was asking the wrong question. The question should have been simple. How can I make this scene with a plank funny? Oh, Jim. As soon as I had that, the scene was written. Takeaway? If you're stuck on a project, are you asking the right questions? Mr. B? Mr. B?
Yes, Jim.
I'm waving the red flag.
Yes.
Well, we agreed. The The red flag means start an argument.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Sorry, I thought I'd got rid of all the squirrels.
And now, challenge at home.
So try this at home. How do you go about finding a way of working, of being creative? You collect tools. Some will work often, some less often. There isn't a process for creativity. It's not linear. You could look at creativity as having the universe in your head. And you can pop from one planet to another planet on different planes with different ideas or different tools. What if? This is such a simple tool for any creative person. You can use it in business as well. It's so simple, so effective, and it's possibly the two most powerful creative words you can use. You're probably asking this anyway, but you can formalise its use. Ask yourself, what if? Now, that's half of this technique. The other half is to combine it with setting a quota. So you need ideas. Ask yourself, what if? But not 5 or 10 times, but 50 or 100 times. It's mad. It's mad in a very special way. You'll get some good ideas in the first few goes. Then the ideas become silly, ridiculous, even banal, but you keep going. And when you look back, you'll find a handful that have potential, but you wouldn't have had them without setting that quota. Now, take your top 5 ideas and expand them. Which ones have the most energy? To make this technique even more powerful, set a time limit. Time discipline is another element to creativity, and we'll chat about it in further episodes. It works especially well with performers doing group exercises. Why? Well, you cut through the conscious mind and you hit ground zero, the unconscious, where you are free, alive and spontaneous. Takeaway from this: generate more ideas than you think you need. I was wondering, why aren't there any award ceremonies for award ceremonies?
An award for an award? Is that what you mean?
I do. Just a thought. The awards for awards. Best award for an award that no one cares about. Best up-and-coming award for an up-and-coming award ceremony. And the award goes to the award for awarding awards.
Creative heroes.
This is a shout out to Edward de Bono, the inventor of lateral thinking. Now, I remember years ago going to check out schools for my daughter, and we walked down the corridor of this school in Welwyn Garden City. And on the walls, the children had made posters for Edward de Bono's 6 thinking hats. He's a hero of mine because of this simple tool for moving between different forms of thinking. I thought thinking was just, thinking. So each hat is a different colour, and you metaphorically put them on to change your style of thinking. And that was an eye-opener for my creative world. So the different hat colours and their particular form of thinking are blue, the big picture, think blue sky. White, just facts and information, data, whatever you think. Red, all about your feelings and emotions. Black, that's critical judgment. Yellow, always being positive. And then there's green, new ideas, creativity. Yeah, it is a formal process, but isn't it smart? I mean, you can see with these hats how your thinking comes in many forms. Edward de Bono is from Malta, a psychologist, an author, and a thinker about thinking. Do check out his books, like How to Have Creative Ideas, 62 Exercises to Develop the Mind. That's a goodie. Pick the ones that work for you and add them to your medicine journal, your toolkit. Hello, Arthur Maurice.
Aye, lad.
Would you care to describe yourself to the listeners?
Certainly, Jim, lad. I'm 2'2", long red hair, and have a very stiff neck.
And you are?
A butcher by trade, a ventriloquist dummy by design. I'm here to keep you and Mr. B on the straight and narrow so you don't get above thyself. I've seen it before, talking about creativity and saying nout. People want action, thou knows. And not from just any stereotypical mechanism. You haven't thought this through, have you, lad?
I think I have, Arthur Morris. I've created you.
Oh, I see what they means. Carry on. I'm just going to pop out for a tobacco latte.
Guest spot.
Right. So on this episode, our guest is Adam Hunt from White Label Comedy. White Label Comedy is a digital marketing agency. What would you call it, Adam? Is it powered by comedy writers, or does it exist just for comedy writers?
No, yeah, so we are very much powered by a hive mind of comedy writers. I think, we deliver all of the things you'd expect any kind of marketing agency, any kind of creative agency to deliver, but our key differentiator is that every single one of those things has had the work of TV's best comedy writers go into them before they end up on the client's desk.
Can you tell us any of your current projects that you're working on and how you work with a client?
Sure. So I think, for us, no two projects are the same, but they all operate in a similar fashion, because one, we need the challenge when it's sort of making marketing and comedy meet in the middle is that we need to come up with funny things, jokes that also achieve a marketing aim. So step one will always break down a brief into the different things we actually need to hit. Then we give that to our comedy writers as sort of buckets for them to throw jokes and ideas in. And then at the other end, one of our copywriters will take the best of those jokes and ideas and then arrange them into a piece of content that works for the client. We've got one particular client who's a software as a service company who we're helping them make their Meet the Team video much more fun and much more engaging. So we've taken their sort of pre-interviews with their team and we've turned that into about 150 different ideas for visual gags they could layer on top of those interviews once they shoot them. And so that's sitting on their desk. We're also, for that same company, we've just started to take over their Twitter. So we're doing I'll be briefing the writers later today on some tweets for them. But it's always varied, but always, regardless, step one, work out what we need to say from a marketing perspective. Then step two, brief that into the writers, and step three, knock it into shape so it hasn't, because writers have a habit of going their own way. So it's you need to knock it back into shape at the end. How can you assess how successful the campaign has been? Well, when it comes to social, I think obviously, it's really simple. It's all about engagement. It's all about more likes, more comments, more shares. When we start working with a new client, one of the first things I'll do is go through their last month or their last week of social posts and just put together a spreadsheet of the results they're getting. So I've got my own verified stats, and then we look to beat them, and it's generally pretty easy to beat them because when we're called in, generally it's with companies that aren't yet really sure what to do on social at all. So, the second you start relating to an audience with a sense of humour, it goes crazy. When it comes to, like I mentioned, the sort of the employer brand meet the team piece, it's success is for me, success is measured in how much the client likes our work, because for them, they have their own metrics that are just too far out of reach for us. To engage with. So it's to me, the main thing is if our client goes, I love this and I agree that it's going to help us achieve our aims, then that's kind of me bowled over until they let me know how it actually performed in the wild. Now we're going to take a little divergence and say, because you're a creative man and you run a creative agency, so what's the earliest memory of doing something that was creative? Do you remember that far back? Yeah, I do. I was thinking about this earlier, and the earliest memory I've got, I don't know if you would class it as creative, but I remember being sat on the floor was brown, and I had a copy of an old sort of Usborne picture book. I think it was the Romans, cartoons of the Romans. And bear in mind, I can't draw for anything, but I was copying the book onto paper. But the reason I was doing that wasn't because I wanted to be an artist. It was because I'd seen this book, well, this book's good, this book has value, someone bought this, I could do that. So I just genuinely believed I could make that. I was trying to make the same book. I was copying it, but it was, I think the reason that memory sticks out is that was my first memory of a moment where I thought I could do anything I want. It was the sort of the freedom to build anything. Yeah, something from nothing, Yeah, and I'm sure if I was a little older, I might have tried to put my own spin on it. But for me, just the process of making that thing that was there and trying to make my own version. Oh, that's interesting. That was probably enough, really. Because there are, there's loads of tools that I talk about within the podcast, and one of them is actually copying people's stuff. Because you can view something on screen and you can read the script, but it's very different from how it's written. So one of the examples I give is when I was writing sitcoms for competitions and I liked Blackadder. So I copied a whole episode out of Blackadder, and you learn how the writer spends their words
and what's going to come next. It's really interesting. And then I had 3 characters who are all pirates, and I transposed it onto this plot, this script. And I just learnt so much. I think copying is undervalued word for word. In your field, which we would call, I suppose, digital marketing, etc., have you got any creative heroes?
Do you know what? In the field itself, that no individual heroes, but in terms of like a brand that for me does everything that I would like us to be doing for our clients, is Innocent Drinks. And like them for one big reason is, like for us, right? We technically we exist. We make jokes for our clients to share with their audience that make their audience love them, but they're not always jokes. They're just what we're really doing is we're using a sense of humour to engage with an audience, relate to them, and give them what they want to hear. And Innocent Smoothies, when the lockdown first began, every day they posted a tweet that just said, "This is your daily reminder of what day it is. Today is Wednesday." Now, that's not a joke, but it was the most popular. It was trending on Twitter every day because it's what their audience wanted. You know, that you don't. I think they've always got a way of just nailing, you know, that they understand what people expect from them. There's always an innocent spin on anything, whether it's Game of Thrones or a piece of news. And I think I just really admire. I've got no idea what their internal team is like and how they do it. But I'd love to be a fly on that. I love
that. Yeah, I love that. That's sort of they're true to their brand identity. Is really what you say there, aren't they? Can you say, or have you 3 things or more that help you be creative? What 3 things do you value about?
I think definitely 3 things. 1, coffee, and I think, you know, without it's more of a placebo than anything else. But I need a cup of coffee. It's how I feel creative. 2, a blank page. I need a blank page, and in fact, I do different kinds of work on different sizes of paper. So thinking is done on A4, and organisation is done on A5, and I can't do it any other way. The other thing, I need a process. I need. Even when trying to be creatively free, if I have a process, that creativity is much easier to marshal, if that makes sense. So I think I need to know how I'm going to get from A to B, or at least have a rough idea of it. Otherwise I'll just spin around in the middle, sort of thinking about how to start, and I'll get nowhere.
I like the different sizes of paper. I think I've not come across that before. I mean, I like index cards for writing out scenes and stuff like that. So how do you work at producing original ideas for your work? I mean, what's your starting point?
Well, I mean, you'll probably hear loads of people say this, but I don't believe there's an original. There isn't such thing as an original idea. For me, any idea is 2 other ideas mashed together in a way that makes something that feels new. And I think, you know, that's especially true. That is what a joke is. A joke is 2 ideas that shouldn't fit together, but you've made them fit together. And there's a little twist in the middle that our brains can jump, and we're satisfied by that gap that we get to jump, and we solve the riddle and we love it. That's a joke. And for me, you know, the same thing is true of any creative idea. So always we start with data, we start with knowledge, we start with info. You know, we'll put together a big long brief of everything there is to know about a brand, about a product, about an audience, and that's not because we need to get to the right answer. That's inspiration. That is things. That's like a big melting pot of ideas old ideas that we can pull from, and then you get that melting pot, and you just take this idea out and that idea out. Is there a way to fit them together? You know, is there a fun way they contrast? Is there a fun sort of similarity we can eke out? If not, throw them away. If there is, work on it and, you know, fix that. But yeah, so I think it's all about having something to start with. As much as I said, like, I need a blank page to begin with, I then need to fill that blank page very quickly with parts. Otherwise,
stuff that you can combine, you know, and smash.
Yeah, exactly that.
What's the best thing someone has said to you that kept you going when it was a bit of a struggle?
Honestly, the best thing is, you might think it's shit, but they don't. You know, it's the reminder that the reason why you hate it is because you've been staring at it for ages. And, you know, especially when it comes to humour, you'll know that the first time you hear a joke is the time it works, right? So there's a reason why I'm staring at a joke that I've been chipping away at for an hour and a half, and I'm not loving it anymore. So I think, simultaneously, basically, people telling me that I'm wrong for hating the stuff that we've spent so much time working on, but also reminding me that it's our job to have a high bar. The way I see our work is not the same way our clients see our work, and they love it much more than I do, and that's the right thing to do, because I should always be striving for better, but they should always be laughing.
That makes perfect sense to me. I'm very similar. Have you ever been? What is the proudest you've ever been of one of your ideas?
You know what? So my proudest moment, my favourite idea has nothing to do with white label comedy. It happened back when I was working on The One Show. But for anyone who's listened to this who has no idea what The One Show is, it's a TV show on BBC One at 7 p.m. Gets 4 million views a night. But as a producer, it can be anything you want it to be. So you get given a celebrity guest and some generic insert films, and you build a show around that. And you can be lazy. You can put the work in. We had Jeremy Vine, the presenter, as a guest presenter. We had the All Saints, the girl band, as guests. The biggest opportunity for creativity on that show is the intro, how you introduce them. And I decided that we were going to find clips of Jeremy presenting his quiz show Eggheads and recut them as if he was singing the All Saints song Never Ever. Now,
Brilliant.
The reason there's several reasons I love that. One, because it's a really fun, silly idea. Two, I love that I somehow managed to persuade the bosses of one of the biggest shows on TV that was okay to do and we should do it. But three, there's no point having an idea without an idea of how you're going to achieve it. And there was a particular piece of software that the BBC has inside its own sort of gated walls called Snippet, where basically every show that's existed in the last 10 years is transcribed. You can search for keywords using that database. So I didn't just have the idea for the clip, I had the idea for how we'd find the material. Right. And we used that to find it. So it all kind of came together, and it was joyous. It's still one of the best things I've ever done. Is persuade the BBC to let me put that on air, and it's a joy.
Makes me laugh. Brilliant. So, how can a listener to the podcast get in touch with you?
Luckily, the joy of a company with a name like ours, if you just tell Google you're looking for white label comedy, they'll send you our way. I think we're all over social, either WL Comedy on Twitter or White Label Com on Facebook. Helpfully, we've got a whole lot of different handles, but Google's your friend basically. And yeah, just I'm always. We've got to the position we're in because I'm always up for a conversation with anyone about how we can find humour in what they're doing. So I think anyone that hears this and thinks, oh, that is interesting. Don't know if it's for us, but it's interesting. Reach out and let's have a chat, because there's always a fun way to take what you're doing and give you the funny version of it. I think the key thing for brands of all shapes and sizes is when you realise that we do it by taking what you're already doing and making that funny, it's way less risky than you think. So yeah, get in touch and we'll have a chat.
Well, Adam Hunt, White Label Comedy, thank you very much. It's been brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. Been a pleasure.
Hello, I'd like to buy a hedge, please. Good morning, sir. Can I help you? Well, what sorts have you got? A hedge? Well, we've got 3 sorts, sir. What sort of hedge would you like? Could I have a look at the Imperial, please? We have the Royal, the Imperial and the Standard hedge. No, it's present. Certainly, sir. May I ask you who the hedge is for? I'm not married. Ah, for your wife, perhaps? Not at all. I'm in no hurry. Well, if you wouldn't mind waiting, I'll just ring down. Start again. So that was me reading a sketch. It's great comedy, created by something going wrong. What about you? Have you ever created something from something that went wrong? We'd love to hear from you. Email us at jelly@jellytrumpet.com. He's at it again.
He's going through his John Bonham phase.
And those two?
Eh?
The other 2 squirrels with their paws in the air.
Groupies.
Groupies? Groupies? That red tail has groupies?
Yes, it's rather flattering, isn't it?
Why haven't I got groupies, Mr. B? Mr. B? Mr. B?
I'll get the squirrel.
Thank you.
Challenge Jim!
Jim, your challenge this episode is, you have 30 seconds to write a story starting, I woke up this morning and...
I woke up
time
this...
starts now.
Oh, right. I woke up this morning and slippers. I woke up this morning and coffee. Melon.
25 seconds.
I've got... I woke up this morning and...
Kiwi
stroke
fruit.
the cat. Kiwi? No, we're not going to have fruit. I woke up this morning and I decided to rid the world of evil. That's what actually happened this morning. I woke up this morning and I
10 seconds.
I woke up this morning and decided to rid the world of evil using super glue. So I would super glue
3,
influencers
2, 1.
to their own sunglasses.
topic.
So the first play I wrote and saw on stage was called Dream Duel. A man steps into his own head and has an argument with two sides of his personality. The sweetheart, who just wants to have fun, and the editor, who just critiques. Simplistic idea, which I loved. When you get a simple idea, you love it. And it's going to give you energy as a writer. And it was a highly enjoyable experience because I had 3 performers, friends, who brought their ideas to the piece, and they made it funnier and they made it sadder. Cooperating with people isn't always easy when you're creating something from scratch. The second time I did a play, it was with another friend, and I didn't know how to say no. So the idea got diluted, and I must confess, this is a regret. I had to learn that lesson. Even working with friends, you have to keep the core of your idea and your vision under control. It's your idea, and others who are trying to be helpful can take it far away from what you saw in it at the start, and not for the better. I suppose it came about because I wasn't confident in my ability, and also because I usually listen more than I talk. Oh, and I do want people to like me. Now, still not easy, but I can explain this when a suggestion comes from a friend or acquaintance. I like it, but it doesn't fit with where this is going. So cooperate, but always own your own work. Go ahead, caller.
Is that Jim?
Yes, it is.
It's Hank Jim, remember? Professor of Liquid Creativity at the University of Groningen.
Didn't you call in the last episode?
That is correct.
Why are you calling?
I have a quote about creativity just for Jim. There are many fish, but they all cannot fly.
Thank you, Hank. Oh, finger slipped. Too much ketchup on my sausage sandwich again.
List of the week.
Now, I love lists, and this episode is quite a short one. There are 3 tweets from the Swansea branch of Waterstones. So, tweet 1. Doors closed 2.5 hours ago. We are, as ever, staying late. There have been reports of a thesaurus leak, and we are worried, bothered, concerned, apprehensive, fraught, fretful, and nervous about it. You never know when it may strike or transpire. Be vigilant and wary. Tweet 2. Doors open in 5 minutes. The thesaurus leak yesterday has resulted in a minor synonym overload, so please be aware that you may notice some abnormal repetition today. You may also experience a bit of unusual reiteration. Then another Twitter account got involved from Belmont Books. So much better than the slang dictionary leak we had at Belmont Books last week. Didn't know whether to mop it up, censor it, or wash entire store's mouth out with soap. Still a few little cusses loose here and there. And finally, tweet 3. That sounds a little challenging. We had an Oxford Dictionary of Physics leak in '97. For days, we could only talk about absolute expansivity and paleomagnetism. We're still finding the odd quark behind the shelves too.
Further thinking spot.
Here's something we'll touch on in the next episode. Mind mapping. A great way to gather thoughts. So search for Mind Mapping Tony Buzan. Tony's no longer with us, but he left a lot of great books about thinking and memories. Why not create a mind map about you and creativity? Join us in further episodes and be more creative. Pick up tips and tricks you can put into play instantly. Try exercises to boost your imagination. Listen to creative guests and a whole lot of what we call fun. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions or ideas for Jelly Trumpet, email us jelly@jellytrumpet.com.
That was Jelly Trumpet, making it more creative with Jim Kinlock and Mr. B. Sponsored by Conversion Detectives, the really creative digital marketing agency. Search Conversion Detectives.
Now here's Mr. B playing us One of a Kind by We Paint Houses, a melodic rock band. Find them on Facetube and Bandcamp.
She talks to herself, she only is her and there's nobody else. Yes, she is one of a kind, the whole world is in front of her, but she acts blind. And I only have time one lady, just this one lady. Is she a bad girl, a sad girl, a mad girl? Yes, she is. Is she just crazy? Lady, please don't betray me. Yes, she is one of a kind, one of a kind, one of a kind. And as she sings to herself, it's out loud and I just can't hear myself. And the thoughts run through her mind must be tunnels, and the ending is something you cannot find. And I only have time for this one lady, just this one lady. Is she a bad girl, a sad girl, a mad girl? Yes, she is. Is she just crazy? A lady, please don't betray me. Oh, yes, she is. Is she a bad girl, a sad girl, a mad girl? Oh, yes, she is. Is she just crazy? A lady, don't betray me. Yes, she is one of a kind, one of a kind, one of a kind.
Well, that went very well.
I also think it went very well.
Shall we do another one?
I would say yes, Jim.
What's he doing now?
The squirrel, he's laying down some tracks on Logic Pro for the next episode.
You'll be out of a job.
I think not, Jim. He can't make coffee. His paws are just so very tiny.
Cute.
Thank you.
You're welcome.